Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Unbalanced with me, Cerys Davage. How are you all doing? I hope you're surviving this winter. I'm hanging by a thread, but I'm excited to sit down and chat with you guys before I have to shoot off to work today. I've been so excited to sit down and talk about this topic today because it's a topic I've wanted to cover since I started this podcast. It's something that affects all of us, especially as young adults, and I know a lot of you guys will be able to relate to this episode. I know a lot of you guys have asked me to talk about this kind of topic. So today we're going to be talking about friendships, specifically friendships in our 20s, because that's the only thing I can talk about. Can't talk about anything beyond that really as a 23-year-old. I guess I've been putting off talking about this topic so far in my unbalanced journey because I didn't see how disabilities would play a role in this topic, but the further I've put this off and the more kind of life experience I've had, the more I've realised that it definitely does play a big part in friendships, and there is definitely a space to talk about that, definitely. So that's what we're going to be diving into today. We're going to be talking about friendships during school. We're going to talk about friendships post-school and going into university and jobs and how unpredictable they are, as well as how disabilities play a role in friendships. Before we begin, this is me from the future just popping in. I've frozen the video just to let you know that my very talented friend Hayden has very kindly made an opening sequence for me for my podcast. So if you haven't been watching the video, I urge you to go back to the beginning just to watch the opening video because it's so cool. This is the intro I will be using from now on. So thank you again to Hayden, and back to you, Cerys. Yeah, let's get straight into it. I'm not going to bore you with any life updates today. If you do want to keep up with my personal life or just any other little bits that I get up to, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Unbalanced Podcast and at Cerys Davage if you want to follow my personal one as well. That's where I keep in touch with people. So if you have any questions regarding this topic or anything else, then please shoot me a message over there. I've also started to get my TikTok going. If you want to follow my TikTok, it's at Cerys Davage. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to me as well. That really would mean a lot. Let's get straight into it. So this is a really, really big topic, and this is a topic that affects everyone so differently. And I can only talk from my own experiences. I'm going to start with friendships in school because the friendships you have in school are nothing like the friendships that you have outside of school. It's convenient. You are kind of not necessarily forced, but you are kind of forced to be with these people. And what I really don't like about school, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree, is the categories that are placed in school, the cliques, the groups, the certain niches that are just placed onto you. Very unfortunately, as soon as you start school, you are just placed into this category and you're forced to be friends with the people in that category. You've got like the computer nerds, you've got like the people who don't actually care about work at all and just want to ditch their classes every time, or you've got the people that compete in like the school like musical and stuff, and that was definitely me. You've got some party animals, you've got like book nerds, you've got art nerds, you've just got so many different categories. And so as soon as you start school and you start hanging out with certain people with the same hobbies as you are placed in that category. So I found in my school experience that my friendships had evolved a lot over school, and by the end of school I think our group had gotten so big and friends of friends had started to hang out with each other, and the group had expanded so much that it was just really difficult to figure out who you were actually friends with to the core, who you would actually hang out with outside of school, who you knew you were going to keep in touch with in school. And I knew for me, those kind of people that I was going to stay in touch with were the people that genuinely saw me for me and genuinely wanted to hang out with me and wanted to help me. I definitely had a couple of friends in school. I was very, very lucky that stood by me during my time figuring out my disability, because when I was in school, I didn't really know much about my condition. I didn't really know the effect it was going to have on me. I didn't know how, I guess, drastic it would change my life in the future and in the long term. As I was figuring out my symptoms in school, and there weren't many to begin with, I started to struggle with stairs. I did have friends that would stick by me with that, but it took me having to explain to them that I needed their help to get up the stairs. I needed them to accompany me if I needed to use the lift instead. It took a lot of bravery and speaking out about it, even though I didn't really know much about the condition myself. And I say this a lot in my interview episodes, when people talk about going through changes in school, it's really difficult to explain those needs to other people whilst trying to figure it out yourself and not even knowing what you're going through to begin with. So yeah, that's a kind of a pivotal point, I think, for me. And then after school, you lose touch with a lot of people, and maybe that's for the best, because I guess in school you're seeing these people every single day, you're in touch with them, it's really easy to stay in contact with them, but the more you are disconnected from that lifestyle as soon as you leave school, the harder it is to keep in touch with absolutely everyone. I guess for me it was postponed a bit because COVID happened not long after I started university, so I was still in touch with a lot of friends from school, and we would do group Zooms and things like that, and that was really nice. But I guess after lockdown lifted and after COVID kind of faded away, and life went back to normal, everyone's too busy. Everyone is trying to figure out their own life outside of school. They're all trying to figure out their place in life and who they want to keep in their lives. And it's not like a harsh thing, like cutting people out of your life. It's just a natural path that just happens after you leave school. And I think I really benefited from that, because it was such a struggle to keep in contact with so many people that I realised I wasn't even that close with in school. And it's nothing personal, it's nothing to do with that person or that group of people. You just kind of figure out who you naturally stay close with and who you naturally gravitate towards as friends, and who you really want to connect with deeper outside of school, because after school, you have to make an effort to see people. You have to put in that time to FaceTime, to text, to travel, to see each other, to meet up, because a lot of my friends moved away from Cardiff, my hometown. They moved away for university. So, meeting up to see each other was more difficult apart from Christmas when everyone comes back, and that's really nice. It's like a little catch up. We all knew that friendships evolve a lot after school, but I don't think you really fully know the extent of it until you go through it yourself. And you think, like, now I look back and I'm like, wow, I have lost so many friends. Like, I've lost contact with a lot of friends, but that's just, the way life goes, and that's just the way we grow as people, is to maybe start chiseling down on the amount of friends that you have. And I have found that having a few close friends are just so much better and so much more valuable than having like a big group of friends like I had in school that I realised I wasn't even close with half of them, and it was just there for convenience. Like, it's just so nice to be making these connections a lot deeper. But it's also nice to not see your friends every day. In school, it's convenient. You talk about absolutely anything and everything because you spend every single day together, bar the weekends. And even then, we'd meet up on the weekends a lot of times. But it's just so nice to have that time by yourself, go to university, make some new friends. Again, those friends are most likely convenient. If you do get along with them, you're there because you live together, or you're on the same course or the same society or whatever. But they're slightly more organic than just being clumped together in a group like in school. At least there you can decide whether you want to be friends with them or not. But I'm really glad I had that time away from home to figure out my own trajectory in life. And that means when you come home or when you meet up with those original friends, the connections are so much deeper because you have so much more to talk to each other about. You have so much more to say to each other. You have a lot more catching up to do. And I feel like seeing each other less often and just having your own time by yourself just like solidifies you as a person. Gosh, I sound really wise here. don't mind me. You just feel like these connections are deeper in a way, and that's how I felt in uni. And it just gives you time to figure out your own way. I think I've said enough on that. Of course, one thing that happened whilst I was at university and not with my original home friends is my condition worsened. And that was something that my uni friends quickly got used to because they didn't really know me before my symptoms at this point. Like, they met me already with this condition and with these symptoms. So they clung on to that concept pretty quickly, and they were able to help me pretty quickly because they knew what I needed. But going home or post-university, once I had worsened, like I've been in university 3 years, I come home, my symptoms are a lot worse than they were when I started university. That's just a fact, and that's just the way the condition is. It's a degenerative condition. My symptoms will get worse over time, and so I think during uni a lot of changes happened, and so communication was key then when I got home, to have to explain to these friends that I hadn't seen for maybe years or not as often as I had seen them in school, and suddenly seeing them a lot more, if I'd moved home or if I met up with them more often, to have to communicate those new symptoms to them and, have to say like, oh yeah, I know we used to be able to do that, but I actually can't do that anymore. That's such a big step to take, but it's essential in keeping your friendship real. I have to say here that I'm very lucky in the sense that my friends have stuck by me and they've tried their best to understand my condition. They're very supportive. I just wanted to add an example that my friends, both old and new, have done or had to do a lot recently, which is when we plan things together now, we always have to find an accessible venue. And they're really good at that, I have to say. Like, they're really good at just looking into things beforehand, researching, phoning places, messaging different venues and different companies, asking if the place is accessible, or if we do come across a venue that's not accessible, they're really good at helping me navigate that, by challenging members of staff, or if there's like a step or two, they're really good at just knowing automatically that I need their arm to help me up. Or they'd be happy to ask a member of staff for the accessible way or the accessible toilets. So yeah, I just thought I'd add these in as a couple of examples rather than just saying the word supportive in passing, because actions like these don't make me feel like a burden or that I'm adding a sense of inconvenience to the situation. They make me feel completely normal and will go out of their way to do that. I think a good friend is someone who doesn't see you for your disability. It's just like a part of you and it's not a big deal, Yeah, definitely someone who doesn't make your disability a big deal. That's a deal breaker. I know that's not the case for a lot of people. I've had a lot of people message me saying that their friends have decided that they don't want anything to do with them, or that they just aren't willing to take out that time to get to know the person's condition or, the best ways they can help that person. And so if you have friends like those or people in your life that just don't really want to associate themselves with that aspect of you, I just want to say that they're not the right friends for you. The right friends for you will be people that stick by your side no matter what and are willing to help you through things, willing to help you through your condition, willing to be there by your side as you figure out your condition yourself. And I don't understand how people can call themselves real friends if they don't put in that effort and energy, because I would do it for my friends, If my friends needed something, if they had something going on in their lives that was really difficult for them, that's your role as a friend to step up, to be there for that person and to just help them through it no matter what. Even if you feel like you're not really fulfilling that role in the best way, you're still doing as much as you can. You're still putting 100% into that friendship. And that applies even without a disability. I have found myself all through these years after school trying to keep putting effort and energy into friendships that I realised were completely one-sided on my part. The other person just wasn't interested. The other person wasn't putting in as much energy as me into the friendship. And that's when you have to just pull the plug, because I'm wasting so much energy here trying to keep in contact with and stay close with someone who clearly doesn't want the same. And it's nothing personal. I mean, I used to take a lot of things personally, and I'm really learning not to do that now. But it's just the way life is, you know, that's their loss. You have to know that that is their loss, and you will do better without that friendship, because why keep pushing for a friendship that is clearly one-sided, that they clearly don't want to be a part of? That's just gonna hurt you and affect you negatively more and more. So you just gotta cut ties, you know. It's really difficult to do that in the moment, and I've had my fair share of having to do that, but you'll grow from it, you'll learn from it, and you will realize that the true friendships and the ones that are worth putting energy into and that will flourish the best are the ones that will put as much energy into the friendship as you do as well. And I'm not saying you have to constantly be in touch with people. I'm not saying you constantly have to, you know, meet up with them, FaceTime them, text them. It can mean going months without speaking to them, but then as soon as you do, you put 100% into seeing each other, catching up, into, you know, investing in one another emotionally. And for me, that's what a true friendship is, and that's the kind of friendship that's worth putting your time and energy into, because those are the ones that'll flourish. Something I've experienced a lot recently is I've made new friends as an adult. And I'm not saying I've gone out and, you know, met loads of people and made loads of friends, but I have made some meaningful, deep connections and relationships as an adult, outside of university, outside of school, outside of education. And it's so refreshing. And I think they're so underrated. Like, why is no one telling me to go out and make friends? I mean, they definitely are. But anyway, I have made some really, really good and close friends in my 20s, in this period of my life where I'm working and I own a home and I'm just completely separated from that life that I lived, you know, while I was in school or university. This is my own life, and it's completely up to me what I do with my time and my life. And those friendships that you make in your 20s, it might be scary, and you might feel right now that you don't have many close relationships and many close friends. But oh my word, you guys need to go out and make some friends in this era of your life, because it can be draining to try and cling on to friendships from your past that maybe aren't benefiting you. I just want to pause this for a minute as I'm editing this, and I realise that I'm making this sound really easy, and maybe it's because I'm an extrovert and I love socialising, and this has become quite easy for me, and I've been very lucky in the past to not find making friends really difficult. But I know it's not the case for a lot of people. I know that social anxiety exists, and so does just being an introvert and loving your own company and being fine with that. So I just wanted to recognise that as well. I know it can be so hard to socialise and make friends a lot of times for a lot of people. So I just want you to know that you're not the only one who struggles with that. I know it's a really common feeling. So I just want you to know that I am there for you. My DMs are open for anyone who just fancies a chat or needs someone to listen to them. And take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. Obviously, this is just my own experiences, but everyone experiences things differently. So I would love to know your perspective on things. If you disagree with a lot of what I'm saying, don't be afraid to challenge me on this and to send me a DM. If you're watching the video, I apologise. The sun is out and completely in my eyes, and I'm loving that the sun is out, but it's slightly jarring. I've got tulips out though. Have you seen those? I can't even look towards the direction of them right now, but they are absolutely beautiful. Tristan's mum got them for me, and it just makes me so happy because it feels like spring is already here, or on its way anyway. But yeah, I urge you all to go out and make friends in this kind of era in your life, because they know you now for you. They don't know your past. Not that I've had a very dark past. That sounds really sinister. Not at all. But it's just a chance to start fresh and for them to get to know you as you now. Obviously, my condition at this point is the worst it's ever been. And that sounds quite deep. It's not. It's just a fact. So making friends as I am right now, they will completely understand the way my condition affects me, because as long as I open up to them about my condition and let them in and let them help me, I know that the friendships flourish so much because they know exactly how you work, they know exactly what help you need, and they're not going to judge you for it. Because I feel like it's going to be a lot easier for people from your past to judge you now because they know what you were like before you got this bad. And I know I'm only speaking from a perspective of someone with a degenerative condition, but you know, a lot of disabilities come on later in life, you know, through accidents or through late diagnoses or whatever. So as long as you recognize toxic friendships that maybe are ableist towards you and don't respect you as much as they did when you didn't have the disability or when you weren't as affected as you are now, making time, making space for new connections is exciting, and it's just such a great thing to do in your 20s, especially if you've got a lot of different kind of friendships from your past. Being able to start fresh, being able to still feel like you're starting a lot of things in your life even though you're 20 something. It's just so nice to have someone that will support you in that way. And I feel like, you know, we're past uni, we're mature, we're working, or we're doing whatever. The sun is still in my eyes, I apologize. But the friendship can be a form of advocacy in a way. Friends can be allies for advocating in disability rights. They can be supportive of you. They can speak up if they hear something that's not quite right. They can advocate for you in that way. And it's just refreshing to have people in your life that understand you and that want to make that time for you. So if you don't have those kind of people in your life, I urge you to do so, because it will change your life for the better. It will lift such a weight from your shoulders in that way, because yeah, you've finally got friends that know you and respect you for you and look beyond your disability for you. And everyone's got baggage, everyone's got struggles, you know, and not one friendship is going to be smooth sailing or easy, but it's going through those things together that will make you stronger. And I kind of sound like a relationship coach as well right now, but I promise you it is so worth it once you find that connection, once you get deeper into a friendship with someone, in a relationship with someone, having someone to be able to trust and that you know will be there for you, and vice versa. You know you want to be there for them at all times. It's just so beautiful. Another quality that's in a good friend is someone who recognizes that sometimes you need space, sometimes you can't do things, and doesn't force you out to do different things. I have had to turn down a lot of plans in the past because, you know, I'm too tired, or I just don't have the energy for it, or I know I physically can't do it. And having understanding friends in that way is so important, because the last thing they should do is make you feel guilty for not being able to do the same things as them. And sometimes it's okay to not want to hang out with people because you need your own space, you need your own time. That is also important to recognize, and everyone needs their own space, and that's something we didn't have in school because everyone's with each other all the time. So now it's just really important to recognize, you know, that you need that time apart. And like I said, it makes your connections when you do see each other a lot stronger. I just love this kind of time in our lives. I actually prefer being in my 20s than being in my teen years. And it sounds really weird to say, especially as someone who could do a lot more physically as a teenager. Obviously, there's a lot of things I can't do anymore because of my condition that I used to be able to do as a teenager. But I just prefer the version of myself that I am now. I feel like I'm so much more resilient. I'm getting emotionally maturer, maybe not quite there yet. I don't know, and then meeting other people that is also on the same wavelength and not immature, not, you know, knowing how to maintain a proper friendship, being able to meet people on that same level and still trying to figure out life as much as you are. Yeah, it's just so nice. So I'm looking forward to this era in life and to just pursue my friendships in my 20s, as well as the original ones, you know, like I've been through so many ups and downs with my home friends, like my original friends from since I was really young, and that's so needed. You know, I feel like the connections you have with friends that you've grown up with, you're kind of like siblings in that way. You know, you've probably grown apart, you've probably fallen out a lot, you've probably had to navigate so many ups and downs together, but it will make you stronger because it will make you figure out who you are and who that person is so much better and so much deeper. And it's just so fulfilling to watch your friends grow alongside you and to mature alongside you, and to be able to look back and think, wow, how far have we come since then, you know? I love my friends so much. Right, the sun's getting in my eyes a bit too much, so I think I'm going to leave it there for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you were able to relate to or be able to take something away from this episode. If you have anything else you want to add about this topic, please feel free to share it with us in the Q&A box underneath this episode. Don't forget to follow and rate this podcast 5 stars. That really, really helps me out. Thank you so much to Cure LGMD2I for sponsoring this podcast. And I will be back with you guys very soon. But until then, have a lovely couple weeks. Bye.